All right, welcome back. We're continuing the lecture, Managing Social Responsibility and Ethics. Let's now look at ethics from the organizational level. When we're looking at ethics in organization, three important concepts are first, structural variables. The way an organization structures its goals. What are employees working towards? Its appraisal system. How are employees evaluated? And its reward system. What do employees receive for achieving goals, having favorable appraisal and performance, etc. These are all factors that will drive the ethical behavior or unethical behavior of employees in an organization. If these structural variables support ethical behavior and encourage ethical behavior, if these variables support employees to do the right thing, then the environment will be a strong ethical environment. In other situations, an organization can set variables, can set goals, appraisal systems, and rewards that don't support ethical behavior. It's focused on profit. It's focused on increasing numbers rather than the ethical components of behavior and decision making. That would be an unethical environment. Next, organizational culture. The organizational culture drives ethics, and the key concept here is values-based management. When management isn't just looking at profit numbers or cash flow numbers or number of customers, rather looking at values that are emphasized and prioritized in an organization, that's going to drive the organization's culture to support ethics and to perform in an ethical manner. And finally, issue intensity. The idea of issue intensity is that if someone thinks a decision or action isn't a big deal, isn't important, then they won't necessarily emphasize the ethical components of the decision or the action. So it's important for an organization to emphasize ethics, to make ethics important in taking decisions, in taking actions, so that the individuals in the organization know that ethics is important, ethics is taken seriously, and that they will perform in an ethical way as a result. Let's look now beyond the organization to ethics in an international context. Here we have the key areas of the UN Global Compact, 4 areas that describe ethics at the international level. First, human rights. The causes in the human rights area support the respect for human rights in all areas. Labor standards. The causes in the labor standards area emphasize no discrimination, no forced labor, and no child labor. So these are international standards. All of these are going beyond culture. These are standards that the United Nations is promoting that are beyond cultural particulars of individual countries and should be enforced by organizations regardless of geography, region, culture, religion, etc. So continuing to the third area, environment. The causes under the environment area promote environmental responsibility. So taking responsibility for the effects of an organization's decisions and actions on its environment. And finally, anti-corruption. In this area, the causes emphasize no corruption, no bribes, no extortion. And again, this is looking at an international level. Regardless of the particular cultural features of a region or a country, at the international level, these 4 areas, human rights, labor standards, environment, and anti-corruption, are all what the UN states should be enforced at an international level. What are some ways that an organization can encourage ethical behavior? We have several concepts here relating to an organization and ethical behavior, starting with employee selection, looking at an employee's background, their behavior, deciding at the beginning whether this employee is going to support the ethical position of the organization. Next is implementing an organization code of ethics, statement of values and ethical rules, emphasizing that the organization prioritizes ethics, and setting specific ideas and rules and concepts that the employees should follow to be in line with the ethical position of the organization. The leadership of an organization. The leadership needs to set an example in following ethical standards in behavior and decisions. In performance assessment, employees should be assessed not just based on results, but based on how they achieve those results, and are they using ethical means in doing so. Ethics training is also a valuable tool at organizations. Employees might want to be ethical or understand that ethics is important, but they might not know how to apply ethics to their day-to-day activities and decisions. Ethics training will support employees in performing in an ethical way as a member of their organization. Independent social audits. A social audit is the process of evaluating decision ethics, looking at what a company is doing, the decisions it's making, the actions it's doing. Are those decisions and actions based on ethics, based on the ethics that are in place at the organization? And finally, protective mechanisms. Protecting employees who perform, who decide, who act ethically, protecting those employees from reprimand, in other words, from getting in trouble. If an employee is acting in an ethical manner, sometimes that won't always be in line with, let's say, maximizing profit or maximizing growth. So it's important for employees to know that if they're going to act ethically, they won't get in trouble if their ethical actions don't always align with maximizing the quantitative measurements of the company, in particular profit. And finally, what are the current issues in the area of social responsibility? First, managing social irresponsibility, ideally preventing social irresponsibility. First point, ethical leadership. The leaders should lead from the top, set an example at the top, and the leaders should be role models for the implementation of values and ethics in the organization's activity. When the employees see the leader or leaders of the organization applying ethics to decision-making and actions, they will follow that model. And employee protection. When an employee sees something that is wrong, that is socially irresponsible, that is unethical, and they take a stand and say, hey, we shouldn't be doing this, they bring this to the attention of top management. This is called whistleblowing, when an employee within an organization goes to top management with an observation of unethical or illegal activity at the organization. Employees, in order to do this, they need to know that they will be protected when they take a stand. So protecting whistleblowers, protecting employees who take a stand against social irresponsibility, against unethical behavior, is an important part of managing the ethical component and the social responsibility component of an organization. Next is the recent new concept of social entrepreneurship. This is the idea of starting businesses with a key goal, a central focus on supporting the social aspect of the environment. Not just making profit, but doing good for society. Both goals, profit and being socially responsible. This is the idea of social entrepreneurship. And closely related conceptually is the idea of businesses promoting social change. In this case, a business's primary activity isn't a social activity, but in their activity they want to support social responsibility and ethical ideas. So two ways to do that are: one, philanthropy, that's making donations, that's supporting organizations financially. And another is employee volunteering. Paying the employees to take time off from work and do volunteer activities in the community is another form of supporting social responsibility. So social entrepreneurship, the central focus of the organization is its social mandate, the social contribution it's making. Businesses promoting social change is a situation in which the business's primary goal isn't its social responsibility, but as a part of its activity, it supports social responsibility by giving money and by supporting employees to volunteer and participate in social activities. This concludes the lecture, Managing Social Responsibility and Ethics. Be sure to work through the exercises associated with this lecture, and I look forward to seeing you in class for our case study analysis.